Hey Internet, James here with another set of satisfying stories. We're jumping into my favorite category of ProRevenge with a story about an assistant who gets what's coming after undermining their team member and trying to steal their job. 3 strikes and you're out? Cool, I got this. A story by Sting 2018. I work in sales and we work as a team. I have an assistant who helps me get leads and set appointments. Well, this one particular assistant in the office and I did not get along at all. They kept going to my boss behind my back to report every little incident, which is really forkin' annoying. Part of my role as the senior rep was training. However, this assistant was a former business owner and knew how to do the job and didn't need no help. Well, the appointments that the assistant set up had an 80% no-show rate, which is insane. In the past, no-shows would be around 25 or 30%. Not only that, this assistant would constantly argue and bicker over everything, which was just really frustrating to deal with. The assistant also created their own lead card and tracking system, which completely sucked and crap fell through all the time. Furthermore, about half of all the contact details provided didn't actually work. But what really irked me the most is this assistant constantly sucking up to my manager about all the great things they're doing. My manager was in love with the assistant and kept preventing me from firing the assistant and replacing them. Now, our company had a little known policy. 3 ethics complaints in a 12-month period and you're fired. Here's the deal though. For a customer to file a complaint, they had to go to a specific page on our website, so very few complaints ever actually got filed. One day, I roll in 10 minutes late. My assistant had called my manager to complain that I was late, so my boss asked me while I was late. Keep in mind, we don't clock in or out, and I would often come in early or stay late. To come in late once in a while was no big deal, but it was annoying knowing my assistant had a habit of constantly going behind my back and ratting me out, on top of their crappy production. We're supposed to be a team. I asked to do a review of the assistant's leads. We got 3 leads deep, and my assistant huffed and puffed and said the leads belong to them, not me, and it's none of my business. Actually, it is. They then called my boss to complain about my behavior because I was pushing them to complete the lead review. My boss called me and I straight up told him he needs to give me the authority to fire this assistant or I'm gonna force his hand. He told me I needed to learn how to work with my assistant. So, I pulled up all of the assistant's leads and began dialing. One thing that would justify an ethics complaint is opting in a lead for a call when they didn't want to be called, which I suspected I could find at least 3 instances of. I called all of the leads and I got 9 people who straight up said, "We never intended to be opted in to be given sales calls," to which I replied, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. We actually have an ethics complaints page for such a situation. Would you like me to forward you the link so you can file a complaint? It would really help us to ensure this kind of thing doesn't happen again." Within 48 hours, my assistant had gotten 5 ethics complaints. My boss called me 72 hours later. "Sting, it's really strange we've gotten a slew of complaints about your assistant. Did you have any part in this?" Well, you see, my assistant refused to conduct a lead review with me, so I called all of their leads for them. On a few occasions, the lead claimed they didn't intend on providing the information for sales calls, so I simply sent them the link to file a complaint. My boss said, "Yeah, well, now I'm forced to file the assistant." I simply smiled and said, "Oh, that's really unfortunate. I'm so sorry to hear that." He confided, "I guess you won this one." I said, "Not a problem. I'll go ahead and post the new job." My next assistant was much better and way easier to work with. Now, I've worked in a few places where there's always at least one person that's trying to weasel their way to the top. They may play a good short-term game, but ultimately they get caught in the end. This useless assistant tried to undermine their sales partner, and unfortunately, it was their poor performance that got them sacked. I really like this story as Sting not only got their revenge, but they also did it in the most malicious compliant way possible. Speaking of malicious compliance, let's jump over to our next story today of the IT manager getting back at someone who thought they were their boss and paid the price for their incompetence. Unless you're in the middle of nowhere, you have to work during vacation. Your salary. A story by Outrun Radio. I work for a small company in the trades as head of the IT department, also known as the only IT person. Truthfully, the gig is great. Good pay, benefits, I can come and go as I please within reason. The two people I have to answer to are the vice president and the CEO, and as par for the course, they know just about nothing to do with technology and generally leave me be as I'm good at my job and everything runs smoothly. Being a small company, a lot of us don't take vacations due to A, building the company, and B, not having replacements for the time we're gone. But after 2 years vacationless, we're in the US, my wife convinces me to use the time I'm given to decompress and take a small 1-week getaway. Now I talk to the vice president and he gives me the thumbs up to take the time, barring I get everything in order and do some minor teaching to the other staff in case of emergency. Cool, easy. Enter the FOD, Field Operations Director. A man who is an attack dog for the vice president for no reason, as the VP is nothing but polite and reasonable. The FOD loves giving everyone a hard time, adding steps to tasks to make himself look like he's part of the process, reminding everyone how much of a boss he is to the rest of us in management, and calling me a nerd any chance he gets. It's fair to say I dislike the FOD immensely. After making my rounds with the other staff, it's FOD's time to do some scary computer-related learning. FOD refuses to look weak under any circumstances and gets very aggressive when learning new things because I'm the boss. I already know. In the midst of learning, it dawns on him to ask why he has to learn this stuff anyway. I'm the nerd and it's my job to do this. I clue him in on the week I'm taking off, and this stuff is just precautionary. This worries the FOD as he'll have to retain information, answer questions, and maybe do some minor troubleshooting? The conversation went something like this, and I wish I could tell you that this guy isn't this much of a jerk, but he is. Who approved your vacation? The vice president did, as long as I could get you guys comfortable with some small maintenance. I only approve vacation time. I'm your boss. Side note, he does this so much that the VP actually wrote out the hierarchy in chart form, and we all carry a digital copy with us to remind him who he's actually in charge of. No, you're not, I say as I'm showing him the chart. Well, fine, but your salary, so you have to work during your vacation. You'll bring your laptop and your work phone with you. But when you vacation, you make it very clear you're unreachable and can't be bothered even if it's an emergency. Well, that's because I go to places without service, and unless you're going to the mountains, you have to work. Your salary! Malicious compliance initiated. So, just to be clear, if I go to a place without service, I won't be expected to work, yeah? That's right, but you're a nerd. You don't do anything outdoorsy. Great. Thanks for clearing that up. Fast forward 3 weeks later, and it's vacation time. All my ducks are now in a row, people are comfortable with me being gone for the week, and all are encouraging me to just disconnect. A close worker of mine knows the conversation FOD and I had and asks what I plan to do about it, so I shared my easy but effective plan. Step 1. Wife and I rented a cabin in the woods 2 hours from the nearest town, and it doesn't have service. Step 2. Set up an automatic email replies that have all IT questions and concerns forwarded to the FOD. Since he's the boss, he knows. Step 3. Leave the work phone on the charger in my office with the ringer on. Door locked, so he has to hear it, and voicemail changed to have the FOD become the IT department for the week. Coworker loves the idea of flooding the FOD with questions he can't answer so much that he gets other coworkers in on it. Midway through the week, I get a call from the coworker with an update. The FOD loses it. He can't keep up with any requests for help and didn't bother to memorize the very simple tasks I showed him, so he does what any good boss does and puts in a request to take a vacation until I get back. Retreat is always an option, I guess. Nothing screams leader more than retreat. It's not weakness and failure if he's not there. My coworkers were able to manage, and the FOD got his 3-day vacation, unfortunately. After the week off, I'm called into the VP's office to catch up and get things back on track. The VP obviously heard of the hardships FOD faced in my absence and laughed at my malicious compliance surprisingly. The VP struck a deal with me moving forward since it was made clear to him that no one else knew how to do my job. I can go on vacation wherever I'd like as long as I bring my laptop and phone and check it once a week. I'll refund my vacation time for that day even if I only work for 5 minutes. I took that, but with the caveat of making FOD actually learn some of my duties just in case. The Vice President agreed. So now I do an hour of teaching a week to a very surly FOD. After all, he's the boss. He's gotta know. I wonder what color the FOD's face turned when he realized that the emails and the phone calls weren't gonna stop. I'm not surprised that he waved the white flag and got out of town so he didn't have to admit that he didn't actually know anything about computers. Ugh, managers, right? That's gonna do it for us here today at Satisfying Stories. This is still a learning process for me, and I'm trying to figure out if you folks like the longer videos or the shorter videos like this one. Leave me a comment below with your preference. Would you like a video closer to 10 minutes or 20 minutes if you could have your pick? As always, thank you for watching. If you liked what you watched today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can know when the next video goes up. I release videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.